Good morning. My name is Pulkit Kathuria, and I am the program lead for the charging infrastructure team. I primarily lead the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program. I'll pass it on to Madis.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Madis Araujo, Program Manager for Sustainable Transportation at Fraser Basin Council, joining you today from Vancouver, traditional territories of Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish Nations. Thank you for joining. I'll pass it to Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Michael Stanier here. I am the program lead for communications at CleanBC, and I'm on Comox territory. I primarily work on more of the public outreach stuff, but that does take me all over the province in various electric vehicles, and I really appreciate all the new chargers out there. Maybe we can get an introduction from JM.
Good morning, everyone. JM Toriel. I'm helping out today, also based here in Vancouver, or the traditional territories of Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations. I'm a program coordinator and helping out with questions today.
So this is the agenda for the webinar today. We'll begin with an introduction to the program, followed by going over the revised or updated program requirements. I'd like to pause here and mention that a new program guide is available on the program website. A link for it is also available in the chat here in the meeting. The new program guide is dated July 14th, 2023, and it's also available to download from the program website. So please refer to this new guide for this review round and onwards. Continuing with the agenda, we'll then go over the rebates offered under this program. After this, I'll delve into details of some very important components of the program, including scoring preferences, site design, O&M calculator, and cost and budget expectations. And finally, I'll be summarizing the application process and listing out the documents required for pre-approval. At the end of the presentation, we'll be opening the room for question and answer session. You can also type in the questions as and when you have them in the question and answer box here. And our team will try to answer them during the meeting, during the presentation, and also at the end of the presentation. So the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program is intended to increase the number of public direct current fast chargers throughout British Columbia to support the growing number of zero-emission vehicles on the road. The CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program is currently prioritizing applications for projects that fill geographic gaps or that are located in the rural, northern, and Indigenous communities. Applications in urban communities with high zero-emission vehicle uptake, high concentration of multi-unit residential buildings, or other rationale for requiring more fast charging will also be considered. The applicants are encouraged to provide detailed reasoning for applications in those types of sites. This program is being funded by the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Low Carbon Innovation of the province of British Columbia and is administered by Fraser Basin Council Society. Here we have highlighted a few very important points of the program. The first is that the program incentivizes level 3 direct current fast chargers and level 2 stations subject to fulfillment of the eligibility criteria for use by the general public. Second, one of the basic eligibility requirements of this program is that the proposed charging stations should be publicly accessible 24/7, 365 days a year. Third is that it is a pre-approval based program. Applicants must apply and be pre-approved for program rebates before any costs are incurred. Additionally, any costs incurred before approval will not be eligible for rebates. Next is the applicant eligibility criteria. To be eligible for rebates, the applicant must be a business, not-for-profit, local government, Indigenous community, utility, or public sector organization located and operating in British Columbia, excluding core government entities, that is provincial ministries, but including non-core entities, example, utilities, health authorities, school districts, universities, crown corporations, etc. Be the current site owner or have approval in writing from the site owner to install charging infrastructure for a minimum 10-year period, And finally, I'd like to mention that for comprehensive information on eligibility requirements, please refer to the program guide. In this presentation, we have highlighted most of the important points, but there's a lot of information that's there, and you should go through the program guide for comprehensive information. Next is revised program requirements. Now we'll be going over certain new updates to the program guide section-wise. First, additions have been made to section 2.3, the equipment requirements of the program guide, which is the payment method requirement. So if payment is required to use the EV charging stations, the charging station must provide a contactless payment method on site that accepts major credit cards and debit cards. Provide one additional payment method that allows customers to initiate a charging session and submit payment. Example, QR code that directs to an online payment portal, payment through membership or app, or toll-free phone number. These are just examples. And payment methods must be accessible to persons with disabilities and not affect the power flow to vehicles. Further, the level 3 equipment requirement has been updated to take into consideration the North American charging standard as well. So to be eligible, the equipment must have 25% or more of the connector types installed at the same project site be combined charging system combo plug connectors. Other connector types, such as the North American charging standard, may represent up to 75% of all connectors installed per site. Have a minimum of one CHAdeMO plug per connector site, only if the charging station is located more than 50 kilometers driving distance from the nearest public CHAdeMO DCFC. The distance to the nearest DCFC with the CHAdeMO plug will be determined using plugshare.com. Next are the rebate amounts available under this program. So these are the rebate amounts available for non-Indigenous and Indigenous communities. There are 3 main power output categories, and each category has a different rebate amount. So the 3 output categories are greater than equal to 20 kilowatts up to 50 kilowatts, greater than equal to 50 kilowatts up to 100 kilowatts, and greater than equal to 100 kilowatts. So you could look at the rebate amounts offered under each of the power output category. For non-Indigenous communities, the percentage cap mentioned here increases from 50% to a 75% if you install more than one station, that is tandem installation. I've explained tandem installation requirements in the subsequent slides. The percentage cap always remains the same at 90% of the project cost for Indigenous communities. To receive Indigenous community rebate, the Indigenous community must own the equipment. A third party that owns and installs equipment on Indigenous lands is not eligible for enhanced rebates. In addition to the power output categories of EV charging stations, as mentioned on the previous slides, there are other factors that influence the rebates that you would be getting for your project. These include the capability of the EV charging station to charge vehicles simultaneously. Multi-port DCFCs are eligible for one rebate for each vehicle that can charge simultaneously at a given output level. The funding amount of multi-port stations will be based on maximum simultaneous output level of the operating ports. Next is tandem installation, which means more than one station at a given site. I've explained that on the next slide. So it is also one of the eligibility requirements. So if prospective installation location is greater than 500 meters from the nearest public charger station, be it a level 2 or a DCFC, the project will be required to install at least 2 ports per site, either a tandem DCFC station, a DCFC, and a level 2 or 2 level 2s. If you are eligible for only level 2 stations based on section 3.2.1 of the program guide to provide redundancy to the site. A multi-port station on its own does not fulfill this requirement. You need to have 2 stations on the site. For tandem DCFC stations, a 75% funding limit will apply, as I had mentioned on the previous slide, while the combined dollar cap will remain the same. Next is level 2 only locations. This program is intended to primarily support public fast charging. However, public level 2 stations not required to be co-located with a DCFC station will be supported only in specific instances. No public level 2 stations without co-located with DCFCs are eligible in Metro Vancouver or Capital Regional District through this program, except for any of the Gulf Islands with one or fewer public charging stations, or for Indigenous owned stations. There must be one or fewer public level 2 or DCFCs within 10 kilometers of the location. The list of priority districts for level 2 only locations can be found under section 3.2.1 of the program guide. Next is scoring preferences. So now we'll be going over some very important components of the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger program. So this one is about scoring preferences. So after the deadline date, that is once we have received all the final applications, we'll be scoring them based on certain parameters. Preference will be given to applications that fill existing DCFC network gaps and or underserved areas, example, Indigenous communities, rural and northern areas, and others. You could refer to the BC Public Light Duty Zero Emission Vehicle Infrastructure Study by BC Hydro, which is available on our website, and the link for it is available in the chat as well. Are co-located with primary amenities, including lighting, washroom, and Wi-Fi at all times. Are co-located with one or more additional DCFCs. Are located near secondary amenities such as restaurants, shopping, and attractions, example, parks, libraries, community centers, etc. Include stations with an output greater than 75 kilowatts when located on primary or secondary highways wherever feasible. Include stations able to deliver greater than or equal to 120 amperes of electricity if proposing DCFCs with an output of greater than or equal to 50 kilowatts, but 100 kilowatts, but less than 100 kilowatts. Include level 2 stations with a higher output than 32 amperes if level 2 stations are being proposed. Utilize pull-through charger site design. Include capability to add DCFCs in the future, examples, space on site, oversized conduits. Agree to provide data on charger usage. Include site design drawings. Include an operations and maintenance plan as a part of your application. Site design drawings. The site design drawings and O&M plan has been discussed in detail in the subsequent slides as well. So the next is site design. Site design is one of the recommended documentations that you could submit as a part of your pre-approval application. It provides us an idea about the location of the EV chargers on the proposed site. You could demarcate the location of the electrical room and other electrical infrastructure available on the site to support the chargers. Location of the primary amenities and secondary amenities. You could also demarcate the location of the primary and secondary amenities. Another important aspect of the site design is to roughly depict that the site is accessible 24/7 all around the year. For site design support, you should refer to the EV fast charging design and operational guidelines for public DCFC stations by BC Hydro. A link for it is available on the program website as well as in the chat. Next is a financial plan or an operations and maintenance calculator. So it provides you, the applicant, with a better idea of the operations and maintenance costs associated with EV charging stations. Starting the previous round, the O&M calculator was made mandatory to submit as a part of your pre-approval application. So a financial plan that you'd be submitting as a part of your pre-approval application should account for all major costs, including but not limited to electricity, including energy and demand charges, service stability measures, including maintenance, repair, servicing, insurance, network fees, etc. If revenues are collected, you can describe the pricing model and method of collection of the revenue. The next is project cost estimates or quotation requirements. So as a part of your pre-approval application, you would also be uploading project cost estimates or quotations of your proposed project. This would include costs associated with purchase and installation of EV chargers, We use the cost estimates provided in the application to calculate the rebate amount that you would set aside if the project is pre-approved for rebates. The budget should be as itemized as possible. This is because only eligible costs would be counted towards rebates. Some costs eligible for rebates include the DCFC or level 2 equipment, installation costs, including labor and material, which include earthwork, paving of 1 parking space per charger, and curb or protective bollards around chargers and others. For complete list of eligible costs, you should refer to section 2.4 of the program guide. Now I'll be summarizing the steps an applicant goes through while applying and participating in the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program. The first step is to look at the eligibility requirements. You can reach out to us through email if you have any questions about the eligibility requirements. We can also schedule one-on-one calls. Further, the recording of this webinar will also be posted online after the webinar, so you can revisit the webinar as well. The next step is to apply for pre-approval. This would involve submitting an application for pre-approval by the deadline date, that is 8th of September by 11:59 p.m. PDT. After we receive the application, the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Low Carbon Innovation will be reviewing it. They'll be announcing the applicants who have been successfully pre-approved and the ineligible and the rejected applicants as well. A funding agreement will then be signed between the successful applicants and Fraser Basin Council. This funding agreement will include rebate amounts calculated based on the budget the applicant provided and also other factors such as the output of the charger. After the funding agreement is signed, the applicant gets 18 months to complete the project. After completing the project, the applicant will be submitting the final documentation to us. And after this, the funding will be provided. So this is the complete application process, starting from understanding the program till completing the project and getting the rebates. Next is the list of documents required for pre-approval. So I'll be going over the required documents first and then the optional documents. So to begin with the required documents, you'll be submitting to us the name of the organization with legal documentation and the main contact from the organization, address and features of the proposed installation site, written permission to use the site if the organization is not the owner, proposed number, output, and model of chargers, budget quotation, operations and maintenance plan, and financial plan. So these are the required documents. I'll be going over the optional documents now. So first is the site design. It's an optional document, but it's highly recommended that you submit a site design. Submitting a site design will also increase the score of your application because it's also one of the score. It's one of the bullet points underscoring preferences. The next optional document is EV charger specification sheet and backup location address. A few more important points about the pre-approval application. Please submit separate applications for each site that you're applying for. That is one application for project sites. Please do not include multiple project sites under one application. Rebates may be capped at 10 per organization. That is 10 applications per organizations to reserve funds for other organizations. The province reserves the right to limit the number of chargers being funded per project. And finally, the rebates offered under the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program covers only capital costs. Applicants will be responsible for ongoing operations and maintenance costs associated with the chargers. And that is the reason why you have to submit like an operations and maintenance plan along with the financial plan. And finally, I'll mention that between now till the program date, you could reach out to us on the following email ID for any clarification and concerns. And we can also set up one-on-one calls if you want. Again, I'd like to mention for comprehensive information on program, including rebates, eligibility criteria, application process, please refer to the program website. You would also find the FAQs there. Yeah, so that's about it from the presentation. And now we'll be opening the room for question and answer session. We'll only be answering general questions about the program. You could reach out to us separately if you have any project specific questions, and we'll be happy to assist you. Thank you.